What we're going to talk about today is a really important part of your research paper, okay? I think doing the research and filling in all the stuff in between is relatively easy. I believe the toughest part of a research paper is writing your opening statement, writing the part that tells your reader where you're going and actually stating what the real purpose of your paper is, what it is that you plan to do in this paper, what it is that you plan to explore, okay? Typically, the way a research paper goes is that a writer spends the first paragraph or 2 paragraphs giving some general background information. And then at the end of that general background information, the writer kind of hones down into a very specific statement of purpose, a very specific statement of what it is they're going to do in the paper. And that's what a thesis statement or a statement of purpose is you're saying what you plan to do with the paper, okay? Why is this important for us to do this now rather than later? Because if you can decide what really is the purpose of your paper now, like the sooner the better, then the less time you will spend researching things that you are not going to use in your paper, okay? Research papers take a fair amount of time. So, the better you can get at honing in on the specifics of where you want to go, the easier this whole thing is, because again, the more you're just looking for information that will help get you to what it is you're saying that you really want to do in this paper, okay? So, again, we want to do this in the beginning of the paper, and typically the statement of purpose is the last sentence or 2 sentences in the first or second paragraph. So we go from a big picture, giving some general background information, to limiting to a pretty limited statement of what it is we are trying to do in our research paper, okay? So I don't have anything written. Obviously, I never have anything written for these videos because it's much more fun for me to do it this way, just kind of like let it come off the top of my head. But let me kind of make one up for you so that you can get an idea of what a thesis statement, what an opening paragraph or 2 paragraphs and thesis statement should be like. Again, we're going to start with like some general statements and then work down toward a specific statement of purpose. Okay? So let's say that you were going to write your research paper on the dangers of tobacco use. Okay? Let's say you started out with something like, mankind has used tobacco in a variety of ways for centuries. Okay, when our settlers first moved to the South, they discovered that the South was a great place to grow tobacco, and so actually tobacco growing became a major part of the economy of the South. Then, of course, with growing all of this tobacco, they had to be able to sell it. So how did they sell it? Well, okay, they sold it so that mankind could roll it into cigarettes and smoke it. They sold it so that it could be cut up into pieces, tiny little pieces, and put in pipes so that it could be smoked that way. People chew tobacco. Why, I don't know, because it's terrible stuff. But that stuff wouldn't be something you put in your paper. But anyway, people sometimes chew tobacco. Okay. So tobacco was used in a whole lot of ways. But as time has gone on, we have seen that the use of tobacco isn't really all that good for our health. We we have seen in this country how cancer rates have grown over the decades with the use of tobacco and how they've shrunk as tobacco use has gone down. The use of tobacco is hazardous to our health. Okay? So, I gave you some general background, maybe a little bit more information than you wanted about the economy and stuff, but I was just trying to fill in about tobacco and why it was important, why the use of it was important in this country. And then we came down to the uses of tobacco, and then we know that tobacco is hazardous to our health. So we would be exploring in here how tobacco is hazardous to our health, okay? Or evidence of how tobacco is hazardous to our health, or something like that. So that's what a thesis statement does. Now, again, this wasn't a great one. Obviously, I didn't spend time writing it. I just kind of flipped it off the top of my head. But I'll tell you that there are times when I've written research papers where I have spent more time on all of the research, less time on gathering all of the research and putting it together than on writing my statement of purpose. Because the statement of purpose is critical to you having a good paper. Now, why do we want to do it now? Again, the sooner you can define what your statement of purpose is, and get a paragraph like this written out, an introductory paragraph with a statement of purpose in it, the sooner we can get that written for you, the sooner you can be sure that all of the research that you're doing is geared toward your doing what you say you're going to do in your statement of purpose. Does this mean that what you write in your statement of purpose now is written in concrete? No, it doesn't mean that. As you research, it's conceivable that you may find something still, that you didn't know was part of your project or your research. And so this took your interest from here to going a little bit in this direction. That's okay. What that means is you need to rewrite your thesis statement so it fits what you're doing. So as you go along, you want to make sure that your work and your thesis statement match up. And again, if your work takes you in another direction, then change your thesis statement so that it fits where your direction is going. Okay? So this is going to take a little bit of time. People can't usually do it in a few minutes. But what I want you to do, because you've all done a fair amount of research now, is spend a little time thinking about what you're trying to do, then start to write an introductory paragraph, okay, and gear that paragraph down to a specific thesis statement, research question, whatever it is that you want to call it. Many of you are writing about diseases. Not all of you, but many of you are writing about diseases. So, you should be able to attach some kind of importance to this disease that you can put it into a statement that says what it is you're doing and why. Okay? This is really what a research statement is all about, and this is a critical point in your paper. Yes, all of you have more research to do, all of you have more information to find, but this helps you figure out exactly where you're going. And again, it can change, but that's something I want you to do this week, okay? So, now, I also want to give you a question here that you can email me the answer to, okay? In one sentence, tell me what you're doing your research paper about. I mean, I can see on there what you're doing, but in one sentence, tell me what you're doing your research paper about. Because if you can capsulize what you're doing into one sentence, that one sentence will be at least a part of your thesis statement. So it'll work together into your creating the thesis statement, okay? So, you know where to get me if you have any questions, okay? I'm here for you. That's a picture of the basilica behind us. And it's I can't remember the painter's name. He was a local guy who did a lot of local stuff. And he was on the Trocare board a while back. And so there's a lot of his stuff in different places. He's really good. Anyway, talk to you soon. You know where to get me. And keep up all the good work you're doing.